Just the audio.
That's it. Watch your mouth, boy. Told you so like that. The holes inside my hand show you I bought my love. I don't know that I was not good enough. No, I measure up my hands. Measure up my hands.
Okay. Just trying to place exactly where the audio is. Seems to be poor quality, but it's not the one that's sucking all of the sound out. We'll see. What's up, guys? I think I might play this. The wind is whipping suddenly. Somebody's angry about them. Goodness gracious.
Okay, hold on.
What's up, guys?
Start waking up and noon at the window with the view, doing whatever we choose on the road, singing nothing on our own. I'ma spend it all on the lap. It's that 82 degrees, got the water to my knees. I be swinging with the trees.
Hello, lovelies. How are you?
I'ma spend it all on the lap. Keep my homies not a crow, swimming in a lot of flows. We don't got a lot of things, but we got a lot of gold. How you like my style? Hey, yo. Yes, it's been a while. Hey, yo. Hey, I think I like it.
Okay. You can hear both. It's just choppy. It's not the best quality. I know where we are. What's up, everybody? We are going to just deal with the audio quality for a bit. I do have a bit of music. We'll vibe it out. Won't be the best until it's all fixed, but then we'll switch gears, have some other stuff too.
Watch your mouth.
No. Try this. Forgot about that. Oh my goodness.
Okay, hold on. It's that waking up and noon at the window with the view, doing whatever we choose on the road, singing nothing on our own. I'ma spend it all on the lap. It's that 82 degrees, got the water to my knees. I be swinging with the trees on the beach, singing nothing on our own. I'ma spend it all on the lap. Keep my homies not a crow, swimming in a lot of flow. We don't got a lot of them, but we got a lot of gold. How you like my style? Hey, yo. Yes, it's been a while. Yo, hey, my mama see that. Think I might keep your love so bonita, choke on me, teacher. With a big old smile, cause she just got the time. It's that waking up at noon at the window with the view, doing whatever we choose. On the roof, singing nothing on our beat. It's that 82 degrees, got the water to my knees. I ain't singing with the trees on the beach, singing nothing on our beat. Gonna spend it all on life. On the rooftop, thinking about nothing. All my roommates probably onto something. Whatever we do, we gotta keep it bumping. Keep it bumping, pumping. On the rooftop, thinking about nothing. All my roommates probably onto something. Whatever we do, we gotta keep it bumping. Keep it bumping. It's that waking up and knowing at the window with the view, doing whatever we choose. On the roof, singing nothing on our own beat. Don't spend it all on life. It's that 82 degrees, got the water to my knees. I can see you with the trees on the beach, saying nothing on our own beat. Don't spend it all on life.
What's up? How's everybody?
Way before you came, hello. Stick on the cake, I'm alright. All I gotta do now is follow.
Who is that? Ryan?
Stick on the cake, I'm alright. You don't need no introduction. It's something just my voice is fine. You don't need to wear your makeup, no. Need to mess with God's design. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. Yeah. Let's keep this simple. Way before you came, I was empty. You stick up the cake, now I'm alright. All you gotta do now is tell me. You stick up the cake, now I'm alright. You don't need no introduction. Something just my voice is fine. You don't need to wear your makeup, no. Need to mess with God's design. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. You're just so simple. Yeah. Let's keep this simple. But if things get complicated, don't worry, we'll take it slow.
Did it switch? When I first started, you could still hear the audio. It was just a little bit off. Let's see, shall we? I do have some other stuff. I need to hurry up and get that situated. Did it switch? When I first started, it's still off a bit. But it's not sucking. You know how sometimes I play the music, and it's like it goes silent or it's really, really quiet. It's like it sucks the music out. It's so weird. It's like audio suppression. It's not doing that quite the same right now. You can still hear me and you can still hear the music. When it's doing that other one, it's like you can hear one or the other, but you cannot hear them both layered. It's so strange. Thanks for telling me. I did know that that was happening, but I'm still here. I know it's tinny, but we're still here for now. Yeah, I knew that. In a little bit, if nothing has changed, especially, I might switch devices halfway through and we'll see what's up. But I'm just gonna write it out, man. How's everybody? Let me actually just keep this right there in case I need to do that again. Now, of course, I would prefer to have all of the audio, no matter what it is, be clear and crisp. I digress. We'll get there again in a little bit. Thank you. What's up?
Tough times with the soft top down, baby, let's not make this harder. Sit back and let the waves crash, maybe we can live like water. Turn off the 6 o'clock news, open the shades, enjoy the view. Don't matter what you're going through, what you said me, just take it slow and easy.
I'm not worried about it.
These days are a little bit crazy. Maybe what you say right now, we take it slow, easy. We don't need to sit back and relax. Just let the mood with the music in the back. And all these bad days, leave them in the past. And all these good times, we can make a last. Yeah, so chill, man. Let them fix the remedy. We keep it cool, slow and easy like the summer breeze. All I need is a cold one.
I love that.
And all these good with the music in the back. And all these bad days, leave them in the past. And all these good times, we can make a last. Yeah. We don't need to sit back and relax. Just let the mood meet the music in the back.
Just let the mood meet the music in the back.
All these bad days, leave them in the past. And all these good times, we can make them last.
All the bad days, leave them in the past, and all the good days, we can make them last.
So chill, man, mellow is the remedy.
So chill, man, which makes me think of chillin'. I heard him say that. So chill, man, mellow is the remedy.
The cool, slow and easy like the summer breeze.
Slow and easy like a summer breeze.
All I need is a cold one and roll. One is someone I love, I love. Let's take it slow and easy. Can you work out this thing? Good reason. You cannot not say that. These days are a little bit crazy. Maybe what you say right now. Take it slow and easy. Can you work out this thing? Can you read out this feeling? I was just lying in love. You might be the one that I cannot quit. I'm okay with it. So let's give it to keep it simple and let the fucking seats fall. Let's take it slow and easy. To be honest, these days are a little bit crazy. Maybe what you say right now is take it slow and easy.
was my favorite part of the whole song. I love the sound bits. I think it's the most precious thing, especially when there are little kids in there. Thank you. Let's do, that was Dirty Heads in Rome, Slow and Easy. The one before that was Simple and Sweet by John Bellion, and then there was Backwards by Forrest. Okay, you know what I've been hearing? I have a couple of messages through these, these songs. Hold on. Speaking of hold on while I laugh for a second. Hold on, I need to catch my breath. But also the song is called, that's not what I'm laughing about. Subsequently, this song. I'll tell you what I'm laughing about in a minute, but in the meantime, Hold On, We're Going Home. It's coming from a divine masculine perspective, and it's pretty self-explanatory. The music video is that this divine feminine energy is kidnapped and held hostage, and he and his homies, his boys, go and rescue her, even if that means violence towards the criminals who decided to put themselves in the spot by going after people they should have left alone. Just hold on, we're going home. Know you're tired of doing this thing alone. Just hold on, we're going home. I got my eye on you. You're everything I need. You're everything I see. Hot love and emotion endlessly. 'Cause you're a good girl and you know it. But you act so different on me. And I know exactly who you could be. Just hold on, we're going home. Tired of doing this thing alone. So I'll be on time. Don't need a Rolex on my wrist. To know. I like that too. Walk like an Egyptian. Is this an Aztec sacrifice? Hey, yeah, you're on board. What I will say, is it really? The audio is perfect? It's wild. What I will say is that Mr. Meeker used to tell me, you know, it's funny, these kind of do look like Aztec patterns, don't they? He used to call me his ancient Aztec cat goddess, and I didn't understand why for so long. But then I realized I am very cat-like. And also, I think he was talking about the warrior goddess energy. See, the Aztecs had two warrior types. They had, there's a bird, I believe, and then a jaguar. Really, I could resonate with both, depending on the day or the situation. Duality of the Gemini. I want to let you guys know how proud I am of y'all. Can I summon the spirit? Baby, I am. Is the audio still good with the music? How is it? What's up? Let me know. Wow. Thank you. You rock on, man. We'll ride it out. Gratitude, right? Just hold on, we're going home. Surrender, man. East Coast positivity. Repulsion. I also heard this one a couple times today, clairvoyantly. Monitoring spirit. Let me tell you about the karmic energy momentarily. Dead now, let me tell you about the spiritual concept and meaning of black ants as a monitoring spirit, okay? Also, subsequently, just before I was coming here, a commercial for, let me pause on this, a commercial for like an Arizona school came up, a Grand Canyon school, college came up, and then a song came on that paralleled the person who stalks my page that's from there, but the black ant, right, as a monitoring spirit. Black ants, if one of them gets in, and let's say it was like the cat food that they were interested in, one of them, if they find a place that they think is warm or safe or there's something, they will leave a trail, a scent trail for others to follow. So how we saw it at the tail end of my stream last night where there were children sent into my chat. Again, you had one person stealing and causing conflict and problems, and when they found something they wanted and wanted to claim it for themselves, like building an anthill over someone else's property, they called and recruited all these other toxic people to come and help them, to come follow their footsteps, to do their dirty work, their bidding for them, harass people for them, to cause problems, like pesky nuisance ants. Now they ended up starving themselves out because there's nothing here for them. Like they've been weak and slow, and ones that I've noticed they're suffering for trying. Now, there's your monitoring spirit. Spiritual symbology for the day. Don't do it. I'll show you in a minute. They're oh wow, okay, that makes sense. It's like lethargic, manifesting sleep. Right, because they burn themselves out trying to target people, and then they stay up all night either trying to plot on other people or stressing about how they're in trouble for trying to do so and whatnot. Put my crown on, straighten my crown, and handle it. Also, I don't know if you're asking me, why are you leaving your birth information and your name? First and foremost, are you asking me for a reading? Are you saying that because you think I'm not doing readings like that right now? I'll do a general in a minute. But also, no, don't do that. You shouldn't be giving readers, I mean, I don't need that stuff. I never ask for that. I tell people, don't tell me anything. If you're coming to a reading from me, don't tell me. I don't need to know birth dates, and I don't need to know that, nor do I want to. And I question any reader who does, frankly. To be fair, it's hard to find somebody at my level and capacity, but comes with the territory, the gift, and the abilities that I've had, as well as the many lives that I've had to master them. But right, so I can't expect everybody to do what I do or be able to do what I do. But I still question people who have to do that. Subsequently, a lot of the people asking for birth dates and stuff are grifters. They're trying to look up your information online, birth dates, all kinds of stuff, anything. Don't do that. That's a scam, man. And from a real psychic, I'm telling you, don't do that with all the people who ask that shit. I wouldn't. Okay, so as far as these karmic energies go, like the ones lurking and sending children, even your spirit guides quit. See, their own spirit team doesn't support them because they're karmic. Because they dodge spiritual growth. They're still not over it because they didn't know how to let go, and they kept trying to pick a fight where there was none and hold grudges. Shadow work tomorrow may be right. And they were targeting people who were just minding their business and doing their healing. Calling, oh, I told you, calling it a phase. Some of these people, they think, oh, it's just Mercury retrograde. It's just the moon. I think I told you this last night, didn't I? I'm just going through it's just a little lesson period that I have. But it's not just Mercury retrograde or the moon. It's their karma coming back to them. And yes, that's a lesson. Karma is a lesson point. It only feels like a punishment when you were an asshole to people like they were, truly. Certainly to that degree. Because the lesson comes back to kick them in the face and say, hey, don't do that to people. It doesn't feel good when it comes back around, does it? Stop that. And they don't like it very much. But they shouldn't have doled it out first. It's karma. And things are not going to get better for them. Certainly not anytime soon, because like I mentioned, I think last night, some of these people, they might have the opportunity once all this stuff hits the fan and they do right and actually make amends for what was done and don't do it again, they have the opportunity to clear the karma because they've learned the lesson to not do that, right? Don't dish it out if you don't want it back. But some of these people won't and didn't, or are too impulsive or impatient for that. Yeah. Over time, it starts taking its toll, absolutely. But here's the thing. They're just getting some kickbacks. They're just starting to get some kickback now, and they're throwing a fit about it, and they can't handle it. They haven't even really started reaping the consequences of their actions yet, certainly not legally speaking for a lot of them. So it's only going to get worse. The towers just started to crumble for them on this note. They're complaining that the ground has started to shift beneath them, but they haven't even started falling from the tower yet. It's about to get worse. There's nothing beneath them to catch them because they don't have divine favor. Who do you think knocked the tower down? They try to usurp someone else's castle. God said, no, I'm going to knock that one down with you right in it, and I'll build the Empress that you tried to steal from, a brand new one, away from you. Toodles. Yeah, I hear karmic say, karmic female, well, I'll go get that one too. And divine masculine just stepped in over her and said, of course, with divine backing, all that, no, you won't. Don't look at me, right? See, they don't want to be seen. Oh, I'm going to try to be sneaky behind the scenes and be nasty to you. Scrolling instead of healing. I'm going to sit here and stalk MGem and then be mad about it. I'm going to lurk and get my feelings hurt. Like a crazy bitch. You're doing it again because you didn't learn your lesson. Cray cray. I thought it was a vibe. Yeah, it didn't work out the way you thought it would, did it? It's just a full moon. It's just Mercury retrograde. I just gotta get through it. No. your karma's being amplified because you tried to be nasty and continued to be nasty during Mercury retrograde, which is a big karmic, it's very much like a Saturn return. It's a karmic mirror held up to you, thrown back at you. It's all the things that you didn't want to heal from or learn coming back to you, or in the cases of light workers like us, right, being targeted by these people. On one hand, it's an opportunity to clear that out, but on the flip side, it gives us the opportunity to, or really that's what it is, close those cycles. Let's say somebody's coming back around to try to stir the pot because you didn't finish filing the paperwork that would put them in prison. They're not changing, obviously, and choosing to be better people or non-criminal. They're continuing to harass or cause problems or the same crime. So that's fine. Dot the last I, cross the last T, and then you can close the cycle. They don't have a choice. It's just starting for them. And they're not about it. I think it's funny. She's trying to laugh it off. I see it. Yeah, that spooked you, didn't it, bitch? Rereading old messages, going through old posts. Replaying the breakup. Aw. Did your boyfriend leave you? Falling for red flags. I guess those rose-colored glasses didn't treat you very well, did they? Should have been aiming for some heart healing instead of red Ferraris. Crying in the shower. Aw. Putting off feeling again. So trying to numb themselves and attack other people to make themselves feel better. Because otherwise they panic and cry in the shower. That blew up in your face, didn't it? Oops, one more oops. Manifesting. You burned yourself out trying to burn people out, didn't you? I bled all week and still beat your ass. What do you mean? Even your spirit guide quit. Crazy. Because you dodged growth like it was homework. Tried to repeat the same old toxic cycles because you didn't want things to change. It wasn't closure. No. You just gotta, now you're spooked, aren't you? Overthinking hour. Insomnia, racing thoughts, loops, open ending, unanswered emotional hangover. Right. You know, it's just a cycle. I just gotta get through it. Oh, no, baby. Your karma's just getting started. But our cycle of dealing with you or being stuck dealing with you, yeah, that's closing. The door slamming right in your face. You know what that is? That's the ENFP. It's based on the INFJ. Actually, typically speaking, it's INFJ that you'll read about doing the door slam, but ENFP does it as well. The ENFP door slam on the Myers-Briggs Carl Jungian personality typing. Hello. I come with a manual and they still couldn't figure me out. I have many facets. I didn't make this up, but there's terminology behind the ENFP personality typing. There's like the happy, bubbly, effervescent fairy that you guys know what I'm talking about. That side of my personality that you love. That is they call it the Manic Pixie mode. But then there is the repulsion switch, right? If somebody especially is causing injustices or is just being nasty, I might have some room for forgiveness and understanding. I might give people some grace to a degree depending on the situation for a while. But if they do not care that they're hurting people, or that I see that they deliberately, they know they're doing it, they just don't care. Or once you educate them on the fact that they're hurting people and ask them to stop and they still don't care, or whatever the case may be, if it's just so foul, there's just no coming back from that. Like pedophilia. It triggers the repulsion switch where I get so grossed out and I just genuinely want nothing to do with you. I'm either going to hurt your feelings with the truth verbally or just ignore you into non-existence, slam the door in your face. And that moves into the next stage, which is called the door slam. But I'll tell you where you fucked up first. Some people have, depending on the severity of the situation, the opportunity to, like I said, make amends and change the situation. And that might not mean me taking them back in my life, but at least they won't be permanently ingrained in my mental burn book forever, at least, right? I have funerals for people who are still alive all the time. You don't have to be dead to me. And frankly, some of them, they'd rather die than have that. And I know it. Up all night scrolling, watching MGM. What's up? What happened? So like I said, trying to tough girl, you've been trying to laugh it off, right? I saw that, and then it quickly wiped the smug grin. Oh shit, she saw me trying to laugh off the truth. Yeah. Tears? What tears? I'm not upset. I'm not crying. Ha 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 ha. Okay, bitch. I can feel your nervous energy. Toxic but familiar, right? You're sweating. And I don't think it's because of the Arizona heat. Whoops. Constantly exhausted. Yeah, you burned yourself out trying to burn us out. How'd that happen, little black ant? Peasantry. Ghosted again. Mad because they got cut off. Social battery 0. Can't sleep. Might spiral. No thoughts. Blocked as fuck. Wake. Scroll. Work. Repeat. Still waiting on a sign. You're not going to get a sign. Oh, I just gotta hold on. It's just the moon. It's just Mercury retrograde. No, it's not. That's it for us. We don't have to deal with you as these cycles close out. But your karma, baby, is just getting started. It just finally started to be delivered back to you during this cycle. Waiting on a sign. You know why you're still waiting? Because your spirit guides quit on you. Failure. I'm fine. No, you're not, bitch. Stop lying. Crazy K. Stop that. And stop sending kids to my chat. That's insane. Also, I talked to my lawyer yesterday again. Hi, Austin. What's up? Paint your face black and golden. I can't even do it. Anything else you want to tell me about the situation? Oh, before I do this, Pandora was, whoops, it switched, playing a song. So I went to play Pandora, the Arizona Grand Canyon, like, college commercial came on, and then the song called Straight Jacket came on. And I picked up 2 meanings. The breakup card came out. So one is like people in her life, a boyfriend, deciding that it's not worth the headache. And then subsequently, me. I could pick up a couple of points where certain lyrics in this kind of I could easily resonate with saying those things to her. You see the repulsion switch on my face? I feel it. I feel oh God, girl, you just grossed me out. My mouth doesn't say it, which it just did. I informed you. My facial expressions probably will. Some days Others, I might be stoic as shit or in resting bitch mode. Guess you'll never know. Unless I want you to, huh?
She's a psycho from a Midwest suburb. No straight jacket could hold her. Wild eyes, they will lure me in her trap.
Also, as far as
something was strange, out of my range. There was no way back. Something went off of my brain. She was a
you just got elbowed in the face because you're not supposed to be up there. I'm so sorry. But that's not a safe spot for you right now. I knocked over everything, and I didn't get mad, but you need to relax. It's not a big deal. I got a little spot for you right here, baby.
Psycho from a Midwest suburb.
No, a straight jacket girl. Okay, as far as the boyfriend goes, don't go back. Remember, there's something called the hoovering method where they try to suck you back in. They try to make you feel guilty. They try to promise you that they'll change when they won't. They try to convince you that they have changed. They try to make you feel lonely. They try to make you feel nostalgic and like, remember how things were? Remember these good times? I really miss you. Don't. Because one of the things that narcissists do is they keep you on an adrenaline rush, right? It's always constant up and down cycles. There's always a situation. And so you get almost like an adrenaline rush that tells you you need to stay away from this toxic person. And then sometimes when that adrenaline rush comes down, your nervous system has a chance to start calming down from that. It's a lot. And so that's when somebody might feel a bit lonely. Do not let that lure you back into a toxic past, okay? Get some therapy. Put that energy into yourself, okay? If you need to, therapy. And then you find a healthy relationship that matches your flow, your frequency, your effort, etc., and not the immature psychosis that you were dealing with. Thank you. And what was supposed to be a partner but ended up being in a liability and an impending psych ward or prison case.
wild eyes, they will lure me in her trap. I go mad just to hold her until I noticed that something was strange, out of my range. There was no way back. Something went off of my brain. She was insane. Here she goes again. Psycho from the Midwest suburbs. I woke up and I told her, you won't know me when the feeling's all gone. And I tell everyone, when the look on your face it slowly come undone. Cause it was all a front.
Oh, and baby, that's how you use the word fronting. Are you fronting something?
Into your face, and you need to
Find
find
another place to stay.
and you won't know me when the feeling's all gone.
He wants his house back, I
And
guess.
I tell everyone, she's a loose cannon with the temper so absurd.
Aww.
Hiding from the
Aww.
police. Yeah, took pills with the name I never heard. They were
Aww.
she fooled me. That's when I noticed that something was strange, out of my range. There was no way back. Something went off of my brain.
Invited but not wanted. So like you're there, you showed up, but are you wanted? Learn to read the room, bitch.
Here she goes again. Psycho from a Midwest suburb. I woke up and I told her, you won't know me when the feeling's all gone. And I tell everyone, and the look on your face will slowly come undone. Cause it was all a front. And quietly, I say it to your face, that you need to find another place to stay. And no, you won't know me when the feeling's all gone. And I tell everyone, and I tell everyone, and I tell everyone, yeah. And I tell Amazon. She was insane. Here she goes again. A psycho from an Arizona hometown bitch. Woke up and I told her. All right, I'm done with this. It popped right up in my face. See? This Arizona school, Grand Canyon College commercial, and then that song to follow it up. No fucking way. Yes way. Your spirit guides quit on you, bitch. God's not very impressed with your ugly. The universe is not at your behest. It answers to me quite ferociously. You can hold me down, I feel you're the lioness in the face, black and golden. You can hold me down, I feel black and golden. Oh, it's a little bad, sorry. How high are you? I'm 5'9". Where is that from? I got you, Rusty. That's funny. How high are you? I'm 5'9". That's funny, right? Even out this world, but I won't go with. I didn't play this, so I don't know what this is. I won't go with. But I ran out of places. I was chasing. Don't do that, avalanche. Wait a minute. Kitty, no. I promise it is you. I don't know what this song is. I like it. Slave in the dwell in the house of the king. And if that means that I leave all my things, that I will go with you. I will go with you. I've been out places as I was chasing you and you alone. And I said, wait a minute. You ain't where could I run? Could I go? Your spirit will follow me down to Shiloh. And the thing about the king, he's always with me, so I can't run from him. But I won't run from you. And I said, oh, wait a minute, I don't want you in it.
But you're hairy.
My face. Is you.
Fine. Comes with some territories. Hello, kitty. Somebody's angry. Let's do this one. I was hearing this today, clairaudiently. If I make some here, you're going to get mad at it. He looks offended. I'm sorry. I still like hairy teeth. Offended? So too. Got hair in your tea, Mom. Sorry. He loves you though. Baby. It was this part that was here. Oh, is my audio still good now? Like crisp? My regulars know the difference, but if so, I can take some requests if you want. I love you guys. Also, I got the clearance to come here till about midnight or so. I'm not sure whether I should reboot the feed. Will it start messing up if I redo it? Because if it's clean now, let's leave it for a while. Unless I get the clearance otherwise. I'll listen. I'll do what I'm told. It's in highest good and best interest. Music is getting funny again. Gotcha. But it was clear for a while. Thanks for letting me know when it shifts again. Is it sucking the audio out, like suppressing it, or is it just like tinny? I think that's a good word. Like when it's suppressing the audio, it sounds like it's underwater, kind of. But when you can hear it all, it's just bad quality. It's more like it's tinny. And then there's just the regular clear audio. It's clear for a bit. Music suppressed. Oh, so now. So it's not tinny, it's suppressing. No, it's changing. First it was tinny, then it got clear, and now it's doing like the underwater thing, according to you guys. Aquatic. Gotcha. Love that. I love that we have a little communication system down. That's so wild. What is going on? No, there may be some stuff going on with YouTube, but I also absolutely know there were hacking interferences because certain things were shifting. And then I noticed some like tech interferences outside of YouTube that happen specifically when the hacking's going on. So there may have been some other issues. It is Mercury retrograde after all, but there are also people playing with things, I noticed. Hello to the Navajo Nation. I'm Seminole. I'm not up in Florida. I'm one of those who migrated north, but yeah, one lives from the Seminole bloodline. Let's put a pin in the music then if it's bad quality. Yeah, thank you so much for letting me know. Yeah, Lumi, it's as if the noise reduction can't tell your voice from the words on a song, so it tries to hear and mute both at the same time. But that's the thing. I also, for quite a while, I had all of that turned off. Like I manually turned off all of YouTube's adjustment settings, so there's something else going on. But that's like the underwater. So when it sounds like it's underwater, it's so strange. It's nice to meet you. We are going to switch gears. I did kind of plan for this. We had some other like true crimes, and you know what, I think I want to do a history right now. Just take a little break from the true crime. Not that we maybe won't tap in at some point, but this one, I really like this case. This particular Bailey Sarian video is probably one of my favorites, if not maybe my favorite, actually. It's a really good one as far as the narrative and the storyline goes. But the way that this story plays out, you know how often actually, I'll pick a true crime and then we'll notice parallels between the types of criminal abuse that we've been dealing with individually and collectively, like from narcissists, paralleled in the case. Also, so the people causing problems and stalking me, it's like they hear, when they hear about similar offenses being talked about in these true crime stories, they realize that that's how people look at them. They realize that they're wrong. They were confused. Well, it's not really about that. But as a side note, I just picked that up too. This particular case, though, it outlines the gaslighting, the knowing of harm that was happening or had the potential to happen, and the choice to ignore it because it was more lucrative or the choice to do things that weren't safe or fair, right? As long as it pushed a profit for them. So any of this sound familiar? And then my love. Come. When certain things were exposed and people whose jobs it was to question the corruption going on came to check in, a health inspector basically, they did what they could to try to bury the truth, quite literally. In this case, it was in boxes and boxes of just nonsense, hoping that it would be missed or nobody would bother to take the time to go through it because it was just so much. And so basically, they took measures to obfuscate and obstruct justice. Obfuscate meaning try to distort or distract from the truth, to keep the truth from being known. It's called the DuPont chemical poisoning. DuPont, like Monsanto, are chemical companies, and they have been known to care more about profit than people, even though the things they push and peddle affect people. Bailey Sarian. So that's a little backstory. This video is about 45 minutes long. It's one of my favorites, so.
I've taken 2 dead deer and 2 dead cattle off this ripple. The blood run out of their noses and out of their mouths. They're trying to cover this stuff up. Wilbur Tennant. Hi, friends. I hope you're having a
Look, see, thank you. Stop sending children into my chat. I never had a sting. I've been here since 2000, almost 10 years, just on YouTube. At least on this account. You hear the wind start to whip, that spell work also. Not just because of the wind. Sometimes the wind is the wind, but I'm picking that up as well. I got a message about it earlier. Come here, baby. And until she started doing this within the last 2 years or so, I never had a single child here. And I think that's telling. Going on like 8+ years without any kind of problems or children until she sends them, because that's her whole audience and platform. Why? Because she advertised to that audience and age group. I did not. I do not. Every time I go live, you have to set, is this for children? Yes or no? And it's always no. You can't press go live until you pick the setting. And just because I don't want to even have to deal with that, my auto settings have been for years already preset to that. So I just click go because it's already done for me. But otherwise, yeah, it will not let you go live unless you pick.
full day today. Thank you so much for joining me in my lair. Oh my God, look at it. It's so cute. I'm so excited to be here. Welcome to my new podcast. It's called Dark History. Woo!
Wait, so, Owen, wait. Owen Wilson, where? What? I'm so confused. Am I missing something? Yeah, fuck Monsanto. Thank you. I'm glad you know about them. Just a side note, Monsanto, is another company that's pretty well known to put out poison as a baseline. We won't even get into the patents and how it costs more to be an organic farmer. And just to prove that your stuff is organic than pushing poison. But there are representatives at the head of Monsanto that will switch job positions sometimes. Sometimes they'll go work in the government in the branch that passes laws that says, yeah, these chemicals are safe to put on the market, or you can pass these and sell these, that's fine. So when they want chemicals okayed for sale at their chemical company, they'll switch job positions and then go work in the government office where they're okaying the patents and the chemicals and such. And then when they're done passing all the paperwork through so that their chemical company can do what they want to do, then they switch back to the chemical company aspect of the job. It's fucked up. It's called a conflict of interest. They shouldn't be doing it because they're putting chemicals out that are dangerous for people, humans, animals, the earth, and passing them unsafely, right, illegally, with a conflict of interest at that point, just because they think they can get away with it. And then they just go swap jobs and reap the benefits of their government crime. Nepotism. Owen Wilson? What do you mean? I know who Owen Wilson is. Owen Wilson is not a person. Owen Wilson is a person. I know Owen, but what? Where did that come from? Like, why are we talking? I'm so confused. Why is suddenly Owen a topic? What am I missing? I know that, but why did you suddenly start talking about him? I give up. Wow. He's yelling. Yeah, but does that have to do with Owen? Oh. He says wow. I missed your comment, Mimi. That filled in the blank for me. Owen Wilson, wow.
What happened?
Oh no. Oh no. What is this? You're right. It did sound like that. The other one said, I love you the other day to me. I'm so confused. You're right. That was perfect. Perfect. All right, back to DuPont.
I've taken 2 dead deer and 2 dead cattle off this ripple. The blood run out of their noses and out of their mouths. They're trying to cover this stuff up. Wilbur Tennant. Hi, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Thank you so much for joining me in my lair. Oh my God, look at it. It's so cute. I'm so excited to be here. Welcome to my new podcast. It's called Dark History. Woo! So, maybe you're wondering why Dark History? Over on my YouTube, I do a series called Murder, Mystery, and Makeup, where I talk about a true crime story. It's been heavy on my noggin. Well, I've always considered myself to be a little curious cat. Meow. And over the last few years, while looking for true crime stories to talk about, I I've come across so many stories throughout history that were just like, wow, almost unbelievable. Babe, this is murder mystery makeup to the 10th degree. I mean, there were some wild shenanigans going down around here. Things that make you wonder, why in the world did nobody teach us this in school? Like, I'm talking large corporations being shady as hell, genocide, birth control, yeah, suspicious. Zoot suit, syphilis. Oh, I'm talking about all the greats, baby. Syphilis? Greats. I said it. Now, I don't know everything, of course. I'm not here trying to pretend I do. So I've been reaching out for some insight from experts across different fields to help get these stories from history straight. It's uncomfortable, but it's the truth, and there's always so much to be learned from it. Okay, I will stop rambling and let's get into today's shady ass story. So, not to start off super negative, but today's story affects all of us. I know it's kind of dramatic, but literally though. This happened to all of us and is still happening today. Today's story is about an experiment, a cover-up, a scandal, a poisoning. Not really, but like I just had to add that in, you know. Anyways, this story is about what can happen when a company is left unchecked with power, control, and some shadiness going on. Imagine for a moment your backyard. If you don't have a backyard, okay, imagine that you're outside in a yard, okay? You see the grass, a beautiful stream, water, there's some rocks. The sun is streaming down on it all. It's so beautiful. You enjoy this yard for many years. It's your yard, your own little personal heaven. There's cows mooing, birds chirping. You get it. It's nice out. Now imagine one day you step out into your usual spot and you notice that the grass isn't as green as it used to be. The water in the stream isn't as clear as it once was. You don't hear the birds chirping or cows mooing. There's now a darkness in your once house. It's just not the same. Well, this, my friends, is what happened to Wilbur Tennant. In the 1980s, Wilbur had run his family farm with his siblings for years. Now, they weren't like crazy, wealthy people. These were small town cattle farmers. You know, they lived a simple kind of life. But what they did have was a lot of bills and a lot of land. Eventually, Wilbur's family had decided to sell off some of their land to a nearby company, but they still ran the farm on the remaining property. It seemed like the right thing to do. They needed some money. It was a trusted company buying the land, and they really didn't have anything to lose at that point besides the land, you know? So it worked out for them. One morning in the early 1990s, Wilbur is walking around the farm. He's checking on his cattle. He's doing his thing. Shibboop shabab. Anyway, he's walking around his property and he notices something strange. There's a dead cow down near the lake, or the creek, whatever it's called, on his property. Now, it wasn't just normal dead. It was like all sorts of funky. The poor cow had blood and foam coming out of its mouth and its nose. It's pretty uncomfortable to look at, even for Wilbur, who's been around farm animals all of his life. He's seen a dead cow or two, you know, but he's never seen one that has died looking like that. So Wilbur got a little suspicious and starts paying closer attention to what's going on the farm. Now, Wilbur was putting some pieces together. Okay, it's like coming together in his mind, and realized that ever since the family sold part of their land to that company, you know, Wilbur's cows had started acting real unusual. Now, Wilbur never had issues with his cows acting out of hand. He noticed some of the more gentle ones, they were becoming just really nasty and aggressive towards him. Yeah, the cows were just going crazy and just getting mad. Oh my God. Not mad cow though, but they were getting mad. Anyways, some of the cows had weird growths on their bodies or lost patches of their hair. And then more and more cows started dying. They're just dropping like flies. Or cows, I guess. Either way, but it's just not making any sense to Wilbur. Nothing had changed. If anyone knows cows, it's Wilbur. Okay, he's been working on a farm all of his life. Of course he knows cows. So Wilbur Tennant tries to find some answers. He goes to the local vet. The vet suggests that maybe it's something Wilbur was feeding them like it had to be. He then goes to some lawyers, politicians, even journalists, because he feels that something bigger is going on. But nobody will give him the time of day. No one will speak with him. No one will give him any help. So he's feeling frustrated, obviously, like, great, love this for me, you know? Now at this point, Wilbur decides, screw it. I'm just gonna do it myself. He decides to dissect the dead cows and he records the whole thing on VHS tapes for proof. Or it's for personal use. I don't know. I'm not judging. Either way, he's got the tapes. During one of the dissections, he opened the mouth of a dead calf and discovered all of the teeth had completely gone black. Yes, he examined internal organs and saw that some just didn't look right. They were the wrong color or the wrong texture, and Wilbur ended up dissecting quite a few cows, and they all had something more going on inside of them. Wilbur knew he hadn't changed their diet, and it couldn't have been something that he was doing. The only thing that had changed was the tenant family selling some of their land to that company. What company was it, you ask? Well, it was the biggest employer in their hometown. Let's welcome to the stage DuPont's Chemical. Love it. Now, DuPont wasn't just the biggest company in their town, it was the wealthiest too. Anyone and everyone who lived in town worked for DuPont. Hell, even Wilbur's brother's name's Jim, he worked for DuPont. It was the pride and joy of their town, is how like everyone made their money. So, what the hell is DuPont Chemical? Wow. DuPont, I'm keeping it simple, by the way. DuPont made some groundbreaking materials like the iconic Teflon, Mylar, and Lycra. Now, these names, they might sound familiar to you because, like, they're literally...
Teflon, like in your cooking.
Teflon is a coating that is used on non-stick pans to make them, you guessed it, you smart little cookie, non-sticky. It was groundbreaking when Teflon came into the market. Now, Lycra is basically spandex, also groundbreaking, okay? And it's used for sports, clothing, bathing suits, that kind of thing. Also changed lives. You know, all of your stretchy pants, Lycra. So they are constantly innovating new ways to make material that is not natural. But when making chemicals, the process creates a lot of highly toxic waste. The kind of waste that would make you melt, like in the movie Roger Rabbit, remember? Remember the guy melts? I think it was the cartoons that melts in the tar or something, but it was terrifying as a kid. I was terrified of that.
Frog that broke.
Anyways, that's what I think of the chemical waste.
You know I like frogs. What happened to the frog that parked illegally? It got towed. Oh, you know what? There was a tow truck out front of the house with like bright lights on. Sat out there for a while, actually, just before I started here.
I don't know. Anyways, so why did DuPont Chemical want the land anyway? It turned out that DuPont used the tenant farmland it bought as a landfill for the waste that was coming from its factory. People within the company, they named this area the Dry Run Landfill, which came from the name of the creek, the same creek that flowed into Wilbur Tenant's property, the same creek that these cows seem to be dying by. Now, ain't that some shit? Turns out, DuPont put in a large pipe that was pumping waste into Wilbur's Creek. Not just any waste, it was chemical waste. That's right. Could you imagine? The tenant family fully believed that DuPont was putting poison in the water or some kind of chemical was coming from their plant, and they had to know it. But over time, the family was getting more and more frustrated because no one seemed to care. No one seemed to show any interest as to what was happening. And a lot of people in the neighborhood, they rolled their eyes or ignored the family's claims because DuPont was, again, major for their town. Like, they didn't want to cause any drama, any problems between, you know, the town and DuPont. As far as they knew, it was between Wilbur and DuPont, and nobody wanted any business with that. You know, you don't want to ruffle any feathers.
What's red and smells like blue paint? Red paint.
Lawyer to the tenant family that they should contact. Now, this lawyer was like the grandson of someone's friend of a friend, and the tenants go out on the limb and they hope that this guy will work with them. And shebang, that's Attorney Rob Billet. And this is where things kick up a notch. When was the last time someone came up to you and said, "Oh my God, you smell amazing. What perfume are you wearing?" Yeah, I know it's been a while for sure. But for was an environmental lawyer. He had just made a partner in a law firm that pretty much only took on larger corporate clients. The law firm was called Taft, Stenius, and Hollister. I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's really fine. It's funny because this firm and these lawyers were the kind of people that chemical companies would typically hire to defend against accusations that the tenants might make. It's just kind of ironic, I guess, you know? Anyways, on top of that, DuPont had worked with this firm so many times before, so it almost seems like this is a bad idea for someone, you know, like Rob, who wants to help out the tenant family. Now, it doesn't make obvious business sense to take on a case against people.
What do you call a hip goddess, Aphrodite? Is that a joke? I'm confused. maybe it might just be over my head. I'm confused.
Who could potentially be your future clients, you know, but Rob had said that he had gotten into this specialty because he did want to do good in the world and he did want to make a difference. Right. So something about Wilbur's story just had really interested him, and Rob felt like he could really make a difference here. So that's
thank
nice. You. Rob had a background specifically in compliance with Environmental Protection Agency or EPA regulations. He would help his clients manage their waste safely, or at least
wondering if I was missing. I didn't want to not
But the
laugh
point
at your
is that he
joke.
knew very well the laws in this space, what companies did put out toxic waste, where they put it, is that legal, you know, all that stuff. So with all that knowledge, plus a ton.
This is kind of like the slow burn bit. Just wait a second. Just a second.
VHS tapes, photos, and documents the Tennant family had collected over the years, Rob Bilott decided to take on the case against DuPont Chemical. And in the summer of 1999, Rob files a federal suit against DuPont Chemical in the Southern District of West Virginia. Now, this is a big deal, okay? Wilbur starts to feel like this is finally gaining momentum, right? Like, he and his family are maybe finally going to get answers and get justice for what they've been through. I mean, they lost their farm. Well, they didn't. Okay, look, they lost like all of their cattle.
Well, no, I didn't want to miss your joke, but also, if it was a compliment, I wasn't trying to be dismissive either. I just want to make sure we were doing jokes for a while. I was like, is that a dad joke? Am I missing something? Or is he saying I'm what? Cool ass bitch Aphrodite. Hip goddess. Aphrodite. One love. Either way. I'm laughing. Sending lots of love, guys. Everybody, we'll do some Reiki in a minute too.
Is what I'm saying. So, Wilbur is on a high. He's like, yeah, we're doing it. But then seconds later, DuPont's in-house lawyer is like, no, stop. Actually, we did a study. The study was actually.
I wondered why the baseball was getting closer and closer than it hit me.
Your fault, not DuPont. Sorry. I mean, these lawyers are hired to protect this large corporation. What do you think they're going to do? Just take responsibility? Oh, nay, my friends, nay. DuPont's lawyer, his name was Bernard. So Bernard says that DuPont and the EPA had done a study together of the property next to the tenant's farm. Now, they had 6 veterinarians, 3 that DuPont hired personally, and 3 that the EPA hired. So that should be fair, right? But the study said, according to Bernard and DuPont, that DuPont was not responsible for the deaths of the cows. These veterinarians said that Wilbur was responsible and had not given them proper care. So it was Wilbur's fault. He's like, get it together, Wilbur. That's not us, that's on you. They would go on to say that
So here's the parallel. Here, let me do damage selfishly to get what I want, and then when other people get hurt and sick because of the damage, let me blame them for it. Let me blame them for the symptoms of the damage I did to them.
Bad farmer. He mistreated his cattle, that he must be blaming DuPont for some kind of financial gain. That selfish man, him. I don't know what you're thinking. Wait, Billy, I thought the EPA were the good guys. No, I'm just kidding. I know you don't know what the EPA is. So the Environmental Protection Agency, according to the website, is an independent executive agency of the United States federal government tasked with environmental protection matters. Super vague, but okay. Government agencies like the EPA have super close relationships with the companies and corporations in the same sector. Usually, these relationships involve money. What I'm getting at is that the EPA was working alongside DuPont Chemical. You know, they had a super relationship. The EPA is supposed to be on top of DuPont, making sure that they are following the rules when it comes to their toxic ass chemicals. I don't know. We're asking too much of the EPA, apparently. So the tenants are feeling frustrated and also just really exhausted from all of this. They're facing a ton of backlash from the community because the family was going after DuPont. Do I have to tell you again? It keeps the town running. Like, how dare they? So people are just not happy with them. It's just drama. Oh my gosh, we could do like a whole drama series on it. Exposed. But the family said that they would end up having to switch churches 4 times during all of this due to people being super unwelcoming to the tenants. Love thy neighbor. LOL. Anyway, this study wasn't making any sense to Wilbur and his family, and it felt a little suspicious. Like, how did DuPont Chemical have this study, quote unquote, ready so quickly? Did DuPont anticipate something like this might have happened, and just had the study ready to go? Well, back with Rob the lawyer, he decides to go hard through the massive amounts of papers, documents, records, VHS tapes from DuPont's files. Then, one day while he's digging around doing his research, he finds a letter from DuPont to the EPA. Oh yeah, it's worth like a second look, right? What is this? This is a little weird. In the letter, it was mentioned by DuPont that there was a chemical substance found at their dry run landfill site, the one near Wilbur, remember? Yeah. Well, and this chemical substance was different. It was one that they had never recognized before. DuPont managed a ton of chemicals at their dump sites all day, every day. So coming across a chemical that they didn't recognize was different. This substance was called PFOA. Rob, the lawyer, he's like, yeah, what is PFOA? Yeah, I know. What is PFOA? He can't find anything on it in his usual resources. Not the library, not lists of regulated materials. It's just nowhere to be found. Finally, he gets in touch with a chemistry expert on the phone. He's like, ring, ring. Hey, this expert tells Rob, like, hey, I don't know what PFOA is. Okay, he's not familiar with it, but he was familiar with something similar, PFOS, which is the same thing, but it's like along the same lines, but it's not the same thing. It's so complicated, like chemistry is complicated, and I'm not gonna try and teach you chemistry right now, but it's kind of the same, okay? Anyways, I think though, that these companies, they use like all these acronyms, technical words, mumbo jumbo, because they don't want people like the tenants to understand what they're talking about. They don't want even like Rob, the lawyer, to understand. It's better for them to create confusion, make people think they're just stupid, or maybe that they just don't understand enough. But hey, what the hell do we know? So Rob, the lawyer, he goes to DuPont and he asks, like, what in the hell is PFOA? And that they needed to hand over all the information and materials related to PFOA. And DuPont's like, no, they refuse. Well, luckily, Rob, he is a lawyer. So he files a court order, which is granted to get DuPont to share the documents. DuPont wins douche of the year because they sent over dozens of boxes filled to the brim with countless documents. Just like they wanted the paperwork to be confusing, they wanted the materials to be overwhelming in number. This is how a company like DuPont can create darkness while seeming to operate in the light. They act like they're helping and doing the right thing. Here are the documents, the evidence you need. Oh my God, we're amazing, But the reality is they are burying and hiding the truth, knowing that whoever goes looking for it really has to work hard to find it. The truth, that is we're talking about the truth. It's hard to find. So it's now the year 2000, and Rob, the lawyer, he's been working hard sifting through all of these documents that DuPont Chemical had sent over. It's been months he's been going through all of the paperwork. Rob has been scanning and quickly reading the documents as best as he could. Eventually, though, just going through tons and tons of information, Rob comes across a document that showed DuPont knew that this chemical, PFOA, was indeed coming from DuPont and that it was indeed dangerous. Not only were they acknowledging this, but it was clear to Rob that DuPont had known about this, like PFOA being dangerous, for a very long time. This episode is sponsored by Apostrophe, a prescription skincare company for people that are ready to take their acne seriously. Prescription acne treatment really works, but it can be hard to get. You have to take time off of work to see a doctor, sit in line at your local pharmacy.
She actually has struggled with her skin for a long time, she said. That might be why she got into makeup.
Get back to the story. Now, remember Teflon? Super iconic invention that made your food not stick to your pan. Groundbreaking. Well, in order to make Teflon, you need the magic chemical PFOA. And DuPont began using more and more PFOA. They were educated on the specific ways in which to dispose this chemical. Like, they were supposed to incinerate it, or they were supposed to send it off to a specific chemical waste facility, who then properly disposes it. Yeah, trying to get rid of waste is like a whole process. So, yeah, they were told this. And of course, there's that warning section at the bottom, when they're getting their education on, that says, hey, this chemical shouldn't be flushed away into water or sewers. But, nobody reads that far, though, Anyway, so with all this information was found within the documents DuPont sent Rob, which also were revealing that DuPont Chemical had been pumping hundreds of thousands of pounds of PFOA powder from their Parkersburg facility into the Ohio River. And not only that, they had been pumping it into the river for decades. Yeah, just putting it in the river, cool. So what happens when a company pumps out that kind of like substance and it mixes with the water? Well, the tainted water goes through the pumps and lands into pits. Normally these pits would be lined for some protection, but the Parkersburg pits were not. Well, when there's like no protection down in the pit, the water then becomes one with the ground, the land, it absorbs the water. And then when the tainted water from DuPont Chemicals sat in those pits, it was absorbed right into the ground, baby, and it sank right into the local water supply, the drinking water supply for over 100,000 people in West Virginia. Now for Rob, the lawyer, this case went from the tenant family and their sad cows to now something that like affected a whole lot more people than they expected. It was clear that DuPont Chemical had all these instructions telling them how to get rid of PFOA properly, and they just didn't follow them. But Rob then found records showing DuPont Chemical had done their own funded top secret medical study on PFOA and its effects on people for 40 years. They knew a lot. According to their own study, DuPont knew that PFOA could increase the size of liver in rats, rabbits, and dogs. They knew that their Parkersburg employee had high concentrations of PFOA in their blood. Oh, and they decided not to tell the EPA or anyone about it. No, they're just too busy. DuPont knew PFOA could cause birth defects in rats. They ran tests on their employees' children. Yeah, that's right. They tested on children. And they determined that 2 of 7 live births resulted in eye defects. By 1991, DuPont Chemical had an internal safety limit for PFOA concentration in water. DuPont felt they knew how much could safely be in drinking water based on their own studies. But they didn't want to say what that safe number was, but they knew what it was. But they're not going to tell you what it was. It's like you're just playing games with a 3-year-old. You know, it's just whatever this secret number was. DuPont learned that a local district had 3 times the secret number amount in their drinking water. There was just a ton of PFOA going on in the waters and nothing was said. Well, DuPont scientists found out that PFOA caused cancerous tumors in lab animals and might result in prostate cancer in humans. After this discovery, it was brought to DuPont's attention, but they did nothing with that information. They were like, oh, thanks, super helpful. No action was taken. DuPont had bought the tenant farmland to use as a place to dump their waste that they knew had the poisonous PFOA in it. They knew that it drained into the tenant's current property, and they knew that the water in the shared creek had incredibly, insanely high concentrations of this poison. I'm gonna call it poison for a little while because that's what it is. Okay. DuPont knew it all along, and they still produced that garbage report blaming the death of the cows on just poor care. What douche canoes? Rob Billot, the lawyer, he made his case, and in late 2000, the tenants came to a settlement agreement with DuPont Chemical. Rob got his fee, and the case was closed before it ever reached trial. So is that it? Does this all go away quietly? Did the tenants get, like, I don't know, some money to make up for the dead cows, and DuPont just gets to go on pumping that poison into the waters of West Virginia? Well, when you really think about it, water just doesn't stop at state lines, you know? Like, water doesn't know what a state line is. So maybe this story would end there. But once again, nay, of course it does not. Now, Rob, the lawyer, he was really angry, okay? DuPont didn't just know about the poison. They had known about it for decades, and they knew it was in the drinking supply. And they hid that from the government, and they hid that from the public. In the year 2000, the manufacturer that they used to purchase PFOA from stopped making the substance. So DuPont then started making it themselves, and they just kept raking in the profits. So Rob tried to take this information public. He wrote a 972-page brief called for immediate regulations for clean water for those nearby. Now he sent this 972-page brief, which, like, how was that brief? But okay. But he sent all of that to the directors of all the regulatory agencies in the US. So think the EPA, even the US Attorney General. DuPont requested a gag order, essentially confirming to the public that they didn't want this report to get out. And people began to think like, you know, maybe there's something more to this damn story. Like maybe this is worth paying attention to.
Today's episode is brought to you by Wicked Clothes. Have you heard of Wicked Clothes? Okay, well, think so.
Why do the cats in my cat? The computer?
Question here is like, why do they call it a gag order? Because I mean, it just sounds so violent. Gag.
It is censorship.
Rob
It's violent.
wanted this
Trying to
taken
silence
on across the country. This wasn't just going to hit DuPont. This would affect all the players in the industry making these man-made or synthetic materials. Most people in the United States, they thought, or we think, if something is dangerous, it's regulated. But that wasn't true. Oh, and P.S., it's still not true. But the 1976 Toxic Substance Control Act says that the EPA can only test chemicals when they are provided with proof that the chemicals cause harm. So what they're saying is they can't test it until they already know it's dangerous, which makes a lot of sense. But the EPA isn't even in the business of making and finding new chemicals or new materials. These large companies are the ones doing that, right? Like they're the ones making it. So the companies have that information, and because of this law, the companies control the EPA's access to the proof that it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? Like they can hide the proof of harm and avoid EPA testing and avoiding regulations. You know, they don't want to follow the rules or regulations because that would just cost them money. I mean, look how cheap they are. They wouldn't even line their pits or properly dispose of the chemicals. I guess in order to make a lot of money, you have to cut a lot of corners. Green is such an ugly color, isn't it? In 2005, thanks to Rob, the lawyer, DuPont reached a $16.5 million settlement with the EPA after they were finally found in violation of the Toxic Substances Act. They paid the fine, which was the largest civil penalty the EPA had ever charged a company within its history. To someone like me and you, like, that seems like a lot of money, you know, don't get me wrong, 16 million, yeah, I'll take it. That's a lot of money. But you and I both know, okay, you have to think about it, the bigger scale here. This is a giant company that made giant profits, and they paid off that fine with less than 2% of what they made selling products that used PFOA in just that year, in just the year 2005. And they've been making those profits for decades. So Rob, he also filed a civil action lawsuit against DuPont Chemical. He had to prove that PFOA was not safe, that it was not at safe levels in the drinking water of the people he represented. And through his tenacity and creativity, he was able to get DuPont to settle in September of 2004. Now, the company agreed to install water filtration plants in the affected districts, and they also agreed to fund a study without limitations to determine if there was a probable link between PFOA and diseases in humans. Now, if the link was found, then DuPont also agreed to pay for medical monitoring for all of the affected groups in this lawsuit. The total settlement came to sum of like $21.7 million, and the law firm didn't lose any money, and the districts had clean water. But there was a lot more to do. The lawyers, with the votes of all the people they represented, used the settlement money for medical testing and research, all of which DuPont had to foot the bill for, totaling around $33 million. So they do this big medical research study, and it ends up taking 7 years. So friends, the scientific study took quite some time, and during that time, a bunch of the class members, aka the people who were in the lawsuit, they were diagnosed with cancer. Sadly, Wilbur Tennant was also diagnosed with cancer, and then he died from a heart attack. And then his wife, she also died of cancer 2 years later. The team of scientists began releasing results at the end of 2011. They found that there was a probable link between PFOA exposure and, get ready for this list, kidney cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid disease, high cholesterol, preeclampsia, ulcerative colitis, I nailed that one, pregnancy-induced hypertension, and elevated cholesterol levels. So it seems like Rob, the lawyer, he finally had his proof. PFOA was poison for sure. We should be calling this aqua tofana, and it was literally everywhere. Okay, you might be thinking to yourself, "Oh man, that's super sad, super messed up." Like, thank goodness I don't live in West Virginia or like
789.
But I want you to know that if you are in the United States, nay, you, my friend, may have it affected. Recently, I've been looking for a new puzzle game to play on my phone that would give me a good challenge. Something that would actually challenge my noggin a bit, you know? And that...
I know that one. It's a classic. But I will forever, always, still love
Dwayne the bathtub. I'm drowning.
2002, the EPA found that it wasn't just drinking water, but also the general public at risk. Anyone who used Teflon pans to cook with, for example, what the super iconic Teflon pans that were literally in every household also had PFOA. Yes. And it was being like cooked right into the food. You ate it. Not you, but like, you know, you might have, but not you. Anyways, the EPA also found out that PFOA had made its way into American blood banks. People were donating their blood, which very nice of them. We applaud them. They didn't know that they had PFOA in their blood, and it was donated. So then, like, PFOA is just like, it's raining PFOA. By 2003, it was estimated that the average American adult had a concentration of PFOA in their blood of 4 to 5 parts per billion. In America today, nearly every person is likely to have PFOA in their blood. It's in you. Manufactured chemicals have been found in 94 different water districts across 27 different states, and they've been found PFOA.
I heard that. Somebody's like, well, wouldn't your body just process it out eventually? No, this is the problem. Did you hear her say something about it causing preeclampsia? Yeah, that's pregnant ladies. That's high blood pressure in pregnant ladies. It's not nice. Neither were a lot of the other things, including the next thing she said that was a gastrointestinal disorder, like ulcers in the GI tract, I think. That's what that is. It's bad acid reflux and all kinds of stuff. But the problem with this is that for whatever reason, this is a chemical that your body doesn't have. Like, it's not bioavailable, so your body cannot process it out. It is a poison. It will like just sit there and either build up in the system or just sit there as long as it's there until you die. Or it's, I think maybe, I don't know if you can chelate it out. I don't know. I don't know if chelation would help with that or not, but yeah, it's not one that can be moved out naturally. Wild. Now, for me, this story hits a couple of angles. It hits the criminology, psychology aspect of things. It hits the, like, the hippie versus chemical companies. Anybody ever seen Grace and Frankie? Mr. Meeker always told me that I remind him of Frankie, but honestly, sometimes I could be Grace if I needed to. Flip side of the Gemini, the bad bitch, businesswoman, versus the free-spirited hippie artist, but they blend well. But then I also grew up in a restaurant, so the comprehension of the fact that a lot of this came from, if not the water supply, yeah, there's a hippie aspect, the activist, but the nutritionist, foodie who grew up in a restaurant. I've been cooking since I was like 5 years old. Like actually behind a grill since I was 5 years old. I remember making eggs for breakfast for the old ladies when I was 5 years old. And they hyped me up, and I still remember it. You're so pretty.
Found in the blood of salmon, swordfish, sea turtles, sea lions, polar bears. I mean, the list can really go on here, you know. So new studies on these types of chemicals appear all the time, and the evidence continues to suggest that these man-made chemicals have complex effects. In 2014, it was found that breastfeeding is a major source of exposure. Other studies found that exposure during infancy is associated with immune deficiency. Now, researchers in Italy, let me tell you, they found a link between exposure to these chemicals and lower sperm counts, lower sperm mobility, and shorter penises. Yeah, you heard me right. No need to rewind 15 seconds. Shorter penises. In October of 2016, 3,535 people filed personal injury lawsuits against DuPont Chemicals. The first actually to go to trial was Carla Bartlett, I believe, who survived kidney cancer. Now, she was awarded $1.6 million. The company would pay out an additional $670 million to 3,550 people who were exposed to PFOA. Eventually, DuPont stopped producing and using PFOA in 2013, and the 5 other companies worldwide that used it also began phasing out, which reminds me, I forgot to look up what those 5 other companies were. Oops. Go Google it. Let me know. Anyways, so in 2015, DuPont made a new corporation called Chemours. And now Chemours uses a similar, different compound that is supposed to biodegrade at a faster pace. I roll, sure. Which they knew about this quote unquote safer compound for more than 20 years. But of course, it took the lawsuits, the EPA, national attention to make them think like, hey, maybe we should make the switch. Maybe we should care. Pretend to care. This alternative compound, by the way, unregulated. Yeah, said it. Unregulated. So no idea if it's actually safe or not. And they've given us no reason to believe them. So once again, cool. Love that. But don't worry, you guys. Don't freak out. This Chemours, aka DuPont, they say it's totally safe. It doesn't seem like Rob believes them either. Every single year, Rob writes a letter to the EPA urging regulation of PFOA in drinking water. They have an advisory setting for these levels, but that is all, and like nobody knows what that means. Do you know what that means? No, exactly. Nobody knows what that means. Nobody knows. In 2016, Rob told the New York Times, quote, "We told the agencies about this in 2001, and they've essentially done nothing. That's 14 years of this stuff continuing to be used, continuing to be in the drinking water all over the country. DuPont just quietly switches over to the next substance." End quote. Chemours, which operates and runs their original facility in Parkersburg, still produces products to make Teflon. I'm laughing because, like, yeah, they're still making them. Like, oh yeah, babe, it's all around you. Turn around right now. It's PFOA. It's right behind you. You know, like, it's everywhere. They're still producing it and still dumping it away. Oh, and more DuPont spin-off companies are out there, like Dow Inc. It's like we're in some weird twilight zone, you know? So people were concerned and following closely the DuPont chemical case. But the message so far was DuPont did something bad. They paid a fine. They did some testing and like found a backup, or they changed their name, moved things around, and no one went to jail. The end. You know, like that's what the story was. So anyways, these corporations learned the true power or true lack of power that regulatory agencies have in the United States, and in a world that mistrusts science, underfunds research, and allows for people to bounce back and forth between government jobs and corporate jobs in the same field. What chances do we have to stop the next DuPont chemical disaster? I mean, it's probably already happened, shit. Unfortunately, bad news for us. Different variations of this poison are still in our drinking water. Yes, we are poisoned. And it's in everyday materials that you think of as second nature. Remember how I mentioned the story affects you? Well, it does. Because you have a very high chance of having PFOA in your blood. To keep it simple, our body just doesn't have the ability to break down the chemical. And when you really think about it, isn't that gross? Because of DuPont, you have this thing in you, right? And like you would think that would make more noise, you know? If the EPA couldn't or wouldn't stop DuPont, well, what can we do about it, you know? Like who the hell are we? And these large corporations, they're just clearly making us ill. What can we do about it? I personally really admire Rob, the lawyer, Wilbur, and the tenants for their bravery to go after a large company like DuPont. I mean, that's ballsy. That takes some serious balls. Also, for the years of dedication to seeking justice and for seeking the truth. I'm a sucker for a good old-fashioned David and Goliath type story, but I wish I could say like the little guy won here, but we did not. DuPont is a good example as how important it is to push for actual environmental regulations, not just to save the trees or the whales. I mean, yeah, those things are great. Of course, we want to save those, but literally to protect yourself from these large corporations who want to take advantage of us and our bodies, plus the lands that we live on. Look, you don't deserve to get poisoned over eggs not sticking to your pan. I just quickly want to take this moment and give a big thank you to DuPont Chemical for all of their beautiful secrets that have affected all of us. I appreciate that. Oh, also, guys, you can totally blame your your small member on DuPont. Just saying, it's an opportunity. When I first read about the story, I found it super fascinating because Rob uncovered a pretty large secret, right? DuPont was poisoning the water and all of us with the chemicals in their products. This was proven. And nothing happened. Why? This question literally keeps me up at night. We have these chemicals in our blood from products that we've been sold, and they've been proven to make people sick. I mean, isn't that enough? You would think, right? Isn't that a bit concerning to anybody? What do we do with this information? And honestly, I think that's a great question. I guess step one is bringing awareness, right? But if DuPont got away with poisoning all of us for so long, what could everyone else be hiding? And what can we do to stop this from happening again? I want to know. Because we need some answers here. We need a plan. Let's continue this conversation. Hop on over to Twitter using the hashtag #DarkHistory and let me know what you think. Anyways, if you enjoyed this story, join me over on my YouTube where you can watch these episodes after the podcast.
That was Bailey Sarian. I love her. I hope she's all right. She's had some challenges in her journey, but she's funny and I think she's a talented makeup artist. I was entertained. I love that we can just nerd out a little bit. But yeah, that's why I share this video as an educational bit. I think it's important to know. Not even just based on this case alone, but the blueprint, the pattern of corruption and cover up, and it's just very narcissistic behavior. Or assholery at a minimum. Cheers. Alright, I'm going to reboot the feed. Grab something to hydrate with. Grab snacks if you need to. Pack a fresh bowl as well, and then I'll be back in a minute. We will watch another something, true crime, something, and I'll do a bit of Reiki. I do have some other things coming up, but I'm going to sleep on it tonight and come back with the rest.